Hello, today we're going to do lesson 22, multiple fractional factors, which means multiplying several fractions together. Now, we have learned that when we multiply the top and we get an answer. And then we multiply the bottom and we get an answer. But imagine if we have to do these three big numbers, both on the top and the bottom, we would get a really big fraction here that then we would have to reduce or simplify. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to try to simplify or reduce each one of these fractions before we multiply. We're going to look for common factors, numbers that can divide one on the top and one on the bottom. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be in the same fraction. It can be one from here with one from here, but it has to be one on the top with one on the bottom. Now, to be very clear, I'm going to use different colors, and I would even recommend you do the same, at least at the beginning when you get used to this process. So, for example, here, I see that 56 is divisible by 7. So I divide by 7 56, which is 8, and I divide 21 by 7, which is 3. Now I have to be very careful that I'm dividing by 7, so I put the answer of the division on right next to the fraction. I also have to remember to cross out the number because that number is gone, it's not there anymore. Then we look for other things that we can divide. For example, I can divide both the 22 and the 8 by 2. So 22 divided by 2 is 11, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Then I'm going to use another color to divide 15 and 3. They both are divisible by 3, so I divide by 3 is 1, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. Then I see the rest of my factors, and here on the top I have a 4, a 14 that has 2 and 7, and then a 5. And then notice on the bottom we have 27, which is 3 times 3 times 3, and then we have 11. There's nothing else really that we could simplify. So we have to now multiply top times top and bottom times bottom. So when we multiply on the top, we get 280. And when we multiply the bottom, 27 times 11, we get 297. And that's it. Now you might ask, teacher, but should we reduce? Well, there's nothing we can reduce. And how do we know? Because the factors we have on the top are none of the factors that we have on the bottom. So there's nothing that is shared between the two of them. If we write it in a different way, 4 times 14 times 5 and 27 times 11, there's nothing common there, so there's nothing we can simplify. So this is our final answer. In the next example, we have the same thing, but notice that we have division. So that's the first thing we have to simplify. So remember that when we divide by a fraction, we have to multiply by its reciprocal. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to change the division sign for a multiplication sign, and then we're going to write the reciprocal of that fraction. Now, what we have to remember is that this reducing that we were doing in the previous example can only be done in multiplication. It cannot be done in division, and it cannot be done in addition or subtraction, only on multiplication. So let's use different colors again to start dividing. Now, this is where it's very important to know your multiplication facts. Because if you don't know your multiplication facts by memory, then you won't be able to easily identify which factors or which numbers can divide here, both on the top and on the bottom. Now, I know that 26, for example, is 13 times 2. And I know that 39 is 13 times 3. So I'm going to divide by 13 both of them. So if I divide 26 divided by 13 is 2. And if I divide 39 divided by 13, the answer is 3. Now I'm going to continue. And I notice, for example, that 30 and 15 are both divisible by 15. So I'm going to divide 15 divided by 15, which is 1, and 30 divided by 15, which is 2. Now, every time you have the same number, both on the top and the bottom, it doesn't matter how big it is, you can simplify because you're dividing by itself. So 2 divided by 2 is 1 in both of them. Then we're going to continue with the next one. And the next one I see is 21 and 3. They both are divisible by 3, so I divide 3 divided by 3, which is 1, and 21 divided by 3, which is 7. Notice how nice it looks with all the colors so that you can see what you did with each one. Finally, I have a 7 on the top and I have a 4 on the bottom. They do not share any factors, so that is my answer, 7 over 4. And that's it. That's a much nicer and simplified thing. Now again, notice how easy it is to do it this way. Instead of having to multiply 26 times 21 times 15, and then 30 times 39 times 4, and then having to reduce several times to get to 7/4. It would be much more complicated, and remember that in math, we always try to do it the easiest way, and this is the easiest way. All right, this is one of my favorite things. It's really fun to do this, and it's really easy. So I hope you guys got it. Make sure you practice a lot, and then you'll have fun as well.